G'day all, Heff here again from Epic Rides and Tours, Sidecar Adventures. Okie dokie, relatively small problem on Dusty, the 2021 Gear Up. She's got the driving lights on the front of the car, and there's a switch for those fitted on the right side of the handlebar, so you can basically just flick it on and off with your thumb. However, this is the second time that the switch has failed. I had it replaced under warranty, but now the bike's out of warranty. It's gone wrong again. It's just not as waterproof as I would hope, so riding in the rain is not so much of an option if you want to keep your driving lights working. So I've bought a replacement switch, which is much different from the original. It cost me $29.89 Aussie from eBay. It has 3 wires going to it rather than the 2 that the original Ural switch has. So the third one is actually for LEDs that light the switch up. It's a push button type, push in for on and push again to come out and off. So there's a wee difference in that the feed, the positive feed to the original switch is always live, so you can leave the spotties on, or the driving lights rather, with the ignition off. The third wire in this one is for the LEDs that light up the switch. It's a nice idea, but I'd rather have it that that LED is powered up from the ignition switch. So when you turn the ignition off, that LED goes out. It'll probably take days before it drained the battery, but yeah, it's just better way to do things, in my humble. So yeah, let's let's get a look at it. Okay, so I've taken the old standard switch out, and it's the second time that I've had to replace one. The first time it was done under warranty, no arguments, it's just done. But if you can see that there, a little bit of yellow poking through. Somehow that piece of cable has been pinched. Well, it's, yeah, bit of wiring, whatever. So that seems to have been pinched and rubbed, but I can't see that being the cause of the non-working issue. So what I'll be doing is, here we go, fit this thing. Now this has got a built-in blue LED. I'm not sure whether it comes on when you switch it on or whether it's on all the time so you can see it. We'll soon see. $29.89, no postage, off of eBay. The surround here doesn't look to be of the best quality, but all we can do is try it. So this is the far end, which connects to a socket, because this is a plug, male, and the socket being female, that fits into it. It sits on the front, what would you call it, a strut, the 45-degree strut that connects the bike to the sidecar frame at the front end of the car. Front end of the combination. Right, so this is a wee bit longer than the wiring loom for the new switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these wires off and connect them with some, I haven't decided yet whether I want to use one of those or one of these. So the issue being, of course, that this is a 3-wire switch, so one of them will be to the LED in the switch, and the other one will be a live feed to the switch, which will be connected to the switch line to the headlamps or driving lights, so that they operate. That bit isn't happening at the moment, so oh well. Anyway, I'm not going to do this with the camera on because I'm going to bump it. I'm feeling a bit clumsy at the moment. Okay, so what I've done, I've broken into the wiring on the bike, pulling this plug off, and these 2 wires that came with it, which I've cut off the harness for the OEM switch. Now I've ascertained that green goes to blue because blue is the switch line to the driving lights. So what we've got is a permanently live positive lead to the other half of this plug, which is cable tied to one of the 45-degree supports, for want of a better word. There's probably a good technical name for it. Anyway, the lights can be switched on when the ignition is off. Could be handy at some stage, could also be a pain. Anyway, so our permanent live goes to the switch. This is the new one, and when we turn that switch on, it connects the permanent live down to the switch line, which in this case is the green wire connected to our blue one from the new switch, and that completes the circuit for power to the driving lights. Now the 3rd wire, just there between my fingers, is brown, and that one lights up the LED on the surrounds of the switch. So there you go. The little on icon also lights up blue. Of course, it's, yeah, in my humble opinion, it's never a clever idea to leave even an LED running all the time, because it does have some drain on the battery. And if you don't go out on your bike for a couple of weeks, you don't want to come back to it and find the battery's drained because you got an LED on. They don't use a lot, I know, but anyway, so what I have to do now is to find a live feed for the brown light that only becomes live when the ignition is switched on. So what I'll do with that, I'll strip down the outer insulating sheath as far as I need to allow the brown wire to be coupled into another cable wire, bit of the harness that will supply 12 volts once the ignition has been switched on. For this bit here, I'm going to use some of this stuff, self-sealing tape, to run around that join to make sure that everything is nice and watertight. And once I've got it all up and working, I'll be running this stuff, corrugated tubing. I used to call it Copex, not quite Copex, but yeah, it will protect the new wiring from mechanical damage. Yeah, it's always nice to have something like that. Anyway, I'll catch you when I've finished the next move. There you go. It doesn't look particularly tidy at the moment, but that's the self-sealing tape over those two joints for the live feed and the switch line to the driving lights. And then I'm pulling the brown wire back to a stage where the outside sheath is long enough to protect the part of the cable, part of the harness that is external, because this goes in behind the headlamp. And for our connection, our live feed to the brown wire, which, as you'll remember, is the LED light feed, I reckon that I should be able to connect this up to the front Parker light inside the headlamp nacelle, because it's a lighting circuit. The fuse rating is ideal, and it will only turn on when I turn the ignition on or when I select the parking lights. Those of you who've had one of these for more than 5 minutes, you'll know that there's a 3-position ignition switch: on, off, and parking lights. So again, it's a pretty ideal situation. So anyway, I'm going to get on and dismantle the headlamp nacelle and take it from there. Okay, so your first action in getting the headlamp nacelle off is to undo this Allen headed screw. It's pretty small, just seems wrong to call it a bolt. There you go. And that's a 4mm Allen screw, Allen head. Okay, now in the headlamp nacelle is the brown wire. And what I did, I ran the harness for the switch into here around the back of the headlamp nacelle, and I stripped the outer sheath to allow me to bring this brown wire into here now, because there's a grommet in there, a blind grommet where my finger is there. All I did was put a pair of long nose pliers, tips of, through that, fed the wire into just behind there and pulled it through. Now I'm going to just trim off a little bit, and we're going to be using one of these connectors. Now I don't want to take the spade terminal off the end there, so these are built so that I can just slide this over the yellow cable, which got the yellow wire, sorry, not a cable really. Now that carries the 12 volts to the parking light. The black wire is operated by a relay. So on the negative side there's a relay which is turned on, energized by the ignition switch, and that completes the circuit. So 12 volts from here through the parking light and back out through the black lead. Okay, and you'll see that that also connects to this fella here, which is the connector for the back of the actual headlamp, which is an H4 on this model. So yeah, I'll get stuck in. Okie dokie. So here's our switch. Has no LED at the moment because the ignition is switched off. But okay, switch on. I can hear a relay, and there they go. There's driving lights on. Switch off. Driving lights off. Okay, so that was done with the ignition off. I'll now turn it on, and you can hear all the bits and pieces going. Now there's a light, LED light, illuminated on the switch. Our driving lights are currently off. Operate the switch. Bingo. There we go. Ha! Right, now all I've got to do is assemble it. And when reassembling the headlamp, this little pimple tells you where the tab is that goes through a slot underneath where the headlamp is, and you can double check by making sure that's all lined up so that you can get the securing bolt in. It's actually a really easy piece of work. Okay, best time to come out and check lights after dark. First up, here's our light switch that we've installed. We've got the ignition on, so yep, that light comes on, ignition off, light goes off. Press button, spotties come on, release button. There we go, that's working really nice. And then the other thing that I did was a couple of extra LED spotties to the size of the headlamp for when I'm on full beam. Now, if you don't see this bike come in at night, you're blind. I love it when a plan comes together. There's one thing that I think I didn't explain very well during that, and that's the use of this kind of connector. There's two tunnels through it, one which you should be able to see light through because it goes all the way through. That's on this side, and on this side there's a blind end at my end, and basically what that's for is this side where the open tunnel is, the wire you're going to pick up your voltage from goes through that, so it just slides in clip style there. Pull it in and you can move the connector up and down quite freely. And then the other wire, so this one would have been the yellow, which is the feed to the Parker light, and the brown one, which is the LED line, goes into the blind end. Now you don't have to strip any insulation off for this, you just leave it cut nice and straight, tidy. You put your wires in there, and then with a pair of pliers or similar contraption, you crush that or squeeze that blade just here, the grey what's it, there you go, at the end of my finger, and that will actually cut into the insulation of both wires, and it will contact the conductor inside, which is the actual metal, and for those of you who don't know what conductors are. So that any voltage that's in the yellow will automatically transfer over to the brown in this case. Obviously, in other cases it might be different colours. But then once you've done that, this bit flops over the top and clips in place just under here, which means the yellow cable, the yellow wire, cannot fall out that way. They're a bloody lovely device. I have absolutely no idea where I bought them from, but I used them when I put the spotties on Dusty's headlamp. So I fitted two LED spotties either side of the headlamp, and yeah, works well. They're a great contraption. Enough said about that. Now for the boring stuff. Okay. Please, can you hit the subscribe button? It's down there somewhere, down that way. Most of the vids come out with a subscribe button on them, makes it easy. That tells us like how many people are actually coming back to the channel, which is a gauge of our success in bringing our messages. Google tells me that 92% of the returning viewers to this channel are not subscribing, but they're coming back. It's got to make it easier if you just subscribe, and when you go into YouTube, to your home page in YouTube, down the left hand side there's a column there that lists all the channels you subscribe to, so you can just click on it. Epic Riding Tours. If you like the videos or they have helped you, please feel free to share them and get them around. Anyone you think who might benefit, or oh yeah, Bill Bloggs said he had that problem last week, there you go, that sort of thing. So winding up, thanks for watching and thanks for staying this long. See you next time.